All right, so with our gorgeous Miss S, ready, Sophie? We're gonna warm up a little bit with some of our loose leash walk-in. I know she's off of gear right now. There's a few crumbs that I think Mr. T may have left behind, but we're gonna reinforce for any nice engagement with me from the environment. And again, cough drops for me for the win today. So I'm running low, so we'll do a little bit with our loose leash walking. So wherever I'm meandering and she's kind of honing in on me, I'm going to feed her for these moments. Remember, we're trying to build up value in the orientation to you from the environment. So if she can kind of maintain this kind of nearness to you or being close by, I'd feed her for these little moments. Yes. You can throughout this practice too, like we've been doing a little bit throughout the week, is then you could also potentially send her away with a little find it and then see if she can reorient back to you, back from the environment. So we might do Sophie, come, gorgeous, and throw in a couple of those little recalls. Remember too, sometimes again, big thing today has been lots of nice little jackpots for building value into the behaviors we'd like to have happen again. So as I start meandering, I'm just going to move around the environment. I just want this beauty to, when she comes near my left or right side, I frankly don't care whichever side is good. I just want her to start thinking that staying nearby or heading back towards me has a really good association. Yes. So sometimes I like to go ahead and change up the direction, go in an opposite zone, see if we can still get this nice orientation. And she's trying to do little vacuum cleaning moments for me, which is really helpful. Because again, it's nice to have a little cleanup crew in between the different pups practicing. Sophie, come. So we'll rotate with a little bit of this loose leash walking and then go into some of these nice little name and recall moments. Great job. So let's say as she's honing in more on me from the environment and has been able to stay proximate, her approximation to me has been pretty close. I want to see if I can start to have her target and sort of hone in on my hand a little bit more as a visual. So what I like to do is first show the puppy the snack that's in my hand. Ready, Sophie? Take a few steps together while she's honing in on the hand. Yes. And feed for that. So you can get them comfortable doing both sides of your body. So I would, again, show the puppy what you have. Take a few steps. Ready, Soph? Where she's honing in on that hand and kind of looking up towards you, and then feed for there. Remember, for loose leash walking, though, we don't have to have constant engagement. So what I mean by that is, like, they don't have to be always looking up at you for those eyes. If, for example, ooh, I'm so sorry, sneezing away. So if, for example, you are always looking for eyes on you, but you're not reinforcing the loose leash or, for example, the closeness to you, you might be missing out on some really nice moments. I probably have dog hair. On some really nice moments where your babe is actually honing in on you, but maybe not giving direct eye contact. So ready, Soph? Oh, we got an itch. Hold on. So I might go into a little find it, see if we can get her to reorient back towards me again. I'm sorry. I'm like falling apart today. So just in time for the holidays. No, I'm just kidding. Ready? Sophie. So I might have her hone in on this hand for a few little steps. She's like, hold up, lady. She's so little, she can enjoy all the teeny weeny crumbs that have been left behind. Nice. So again, we meander. Sophie. So again, have her hone in on this hand for a few steps. Yes. So remember, when we're starting to build up any of these gorgeous skills with our beauties, we want to make sure that we're starting to help generalize the skill set or refine it as they're getting more fluid. So like right now, she is working where she's using my hand as the visual to hone in on. So ready with me? So remember, since they are such visual learners, having in the beginning visuals that help them with the certain skills or cues can be really helpful. And then you can always fade those out as she's becoming more and more resilient in the concept. Oh, this is looking really pretty. Yes. So again, I'm going to be ready. Find it. Send her away. Sophie, come. Yes. Nice job, cutie. So we might go again with me or let's go or heal, whatever slogan you like for by your side. And then yes. Smart girl. You ready? So again, we're kind of taking a few steps. And again, if you feel like you're getting dizzy looking down at your babe, and I'm just ripping up some of her crumbs, they're very nice and previously shredded, which is good. Some of them are smaller than others though, so I'm still kind of going through them. So, but we want to make sure that we're capturing all these great little moments where she is definitely soft and nearby and next to my side. Yes, and my neighbors are doing a little bit of some noises, so there is some noise distraction, which is perfectly good. But if you are getting dizzy, I would recommend don't always look down at the babe. You can see her through sort of your peripheral vision as you're walking. The other option is just kind of extend your gait, and then that way as you're moving, she's maybe working a little bit harder to kind of get to you, which is fine, but I wouldn't make it unattainable. So if, like, let's say you start to lose her as you extend, you could also say her name, Sophie. So you can get a couple little faster moments. She's like, this is as fast as I'm going today. And then feed for being, again, by the leg. We'll do another little find it. Ready? Find it. But if you are getting dizzy, try to pick open spaces or use more of your house environment. So like maybe like what I was doing earlier, like with Mr. Z, where you have some items on the floor. That could be you just moving around. Maybe there's an end table, or maybe hi, wild woman. Maybe there is, something on the ground, like maybe your backpack, and you practice just moving around the environment and using whatever landscape you have inside to practice. So I'm just going to go into working a few little weights for this gorgeous gal. So I'm going to set her up where we can all see her nicely. We're going to get a very little sit from her. Nice. I'm going to tell her to wait. I'm going to see if I can take a little step away. Oh, she's like, but I'm so excited. So if your puppy is a little bit of a wiggly worm and they tend to reset up, I would just plant them in the spot you were hoping. Sit. She's like, my brain melted. She's like, I do like those snacks. You're a wiggly worm. So if they sometimes are a little bit wiggly, see if you can get them back to their original spot roughly. Sit. She's like, there's noises in the building. Nice. So because again, I don't want her to get too frustrated, I'm going to feed her for this beautiful sit so she doesn't get too flustered with the funny noises that are happening in the distance. Again, I'm going to tell her to wait. I'm going to do a teeny wiggle, and then Sophie, come. Nice. So remember too, guys, if when working with these weights, you're starting off easy peasy, that's a great place to, again, begin. If we're always making them too challenging, it could just be so out of her comfort range or understanding that it's just unattainable. So we're going to try again for that little sitting. She's like, my brain melted. So again, I'm going to try again with luring. If she's a little bit of a wiggly worm, sit. She's like, I'm thinking about it. She's like, what if we just danced instead? That's a nice sit. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and tell her to wait. And then Sophie, come. Nice. So even if, again, it's a little bit disjointed or not as fluid as you were hoping, still capture those little successful moments. If, let's say, ready, I'm going to send her away with a little find it. Let's say being stationary, again, like we've mentioned earlier, was too difficult. Nice. You could work a little bit with find it and then work that recall like we've done in class. And then that way you're kind of rotating through a few different skills that way. Nice job, cutie. So we're going to feed again for this lovely loose leash walking. So just like I mentioned for Mr. T earlier, we do want to sometimes rotate through our different skills. So that way it seems that, again, it's more engaging and not always the same thing over and over. That was very pretty. So very good job. We'll do another little find it. And then Sophie, come. Oh, those recalls are looking so pretty. So a lot of times folks will ask me, when do I stop using food? Remember too, your boss may really love that concept too. When can I stop paying my employees? So I'm thankful that dogs do not always realize when a paycheck might be coming. So they're not as good for realizing when it's payday versus not. But I would still highly recommend to intermittently feed your babes for certain skills. For others, I still feed for every time they do it. So what I mean by that is recall. Every time my babe comes to me, I do reinforce them for that recall because I want recalls to, even if maybe in a moment where I don't have a reinforcement, it has such a great association that for when they hear come when called, they're going to do it again really readily. Nice job, cuteness. So we're going to send her away for another little find it. That one's much further away. Sophie, come. Yes, good job. But remember, if your boss expects you to work and then get a paycheck, we should expect also to pay our beauties as they're working through some of these skills too. Eventually, behavior can, of course, be intermittently reinforced. You can also use different types of reinforcements other than just food all the time. And you kind of create this bank account, again, where they've had a really good association. Nice job. So it becomes a reliable behavior for later. So we'll do another little find it. And then Sophie, come. Yes, what a brilliant girl. She looks so cute in her her little hoodie. One of my boys also has like the lumberjack look where it's like the black and the red. It looks very cute on her. Ready? We'll do another little find it. Send her away. Sophie, come. There's a little odor distraction. Yes. Nice. Two, if you find that you're ever worried about not being able to go and reach and grab for her. So I know for some of them, like when you go to grab for them, they kind of play keep away. There is something I would recommend to work on, like the gotcha. I've worked on it with a couple other pups in some of the previous videos, but no worries, you don't have to go diving for them and search for them. So for Miss S, what I would recommend is practice the reach, but don't instantly pair it with recall. So if the only time you do gotcha is when you're asking for recalls, you might actually lose out on some of the fun around recall, because for some, going and being grabbed is overwhelming. So remember that your dog deems what they find reinforcing, but also they deem what they find overwhelming or scary, or from their perspective, not a great setup. So what I like to do for the gotcha game is practice the reach and then feed for the reach. And eventually you'd practice the reach and then grabbing for gear and you feed for that. The benefit of practicing gotcha is if you do in a safety situation have to go to reach for equipment, it has a good association. It doesn't always equal like I've caught you and now we're all done with the fun, or I caught you and you can't romp in the yard. So make sure it's not always, again, catching the lovely and then the game is over. So I might go ahead and go again, gotcha, and then feed. And even though right now I'm not even touching her, so I'm not going and grabbing for gear, I'm just bringing her a little closer. So again, gotcha, and then I'm gonna feed. So again, gotcha, and I'm again just working the reach. I'm not even going and making contact. So again, gotcha, and then yes to feed. So I'm building up that me reaching to her is non-confrontational, not spooky. Then what I might end up doing is, again, gotcha, touch for the gear, and then feed. So if this was really overwhelming and she was like, ew, and like flopped over, I'd be like, okay, I'm going too fast. It shouldn't be confrontational or too overwhelming. I want her to think that me reaching for her is non-threatening. So again, she got a little itch. So I'm going to go again, gotcha. And I might touch and grab for gear and feed. And now this time I might have also touched a couple times and then fed for those as well. So like, lady, I just want to wrestle. So again, I'm going to set her up sort of in front of me so you guys can see her a little better. I'm going to go, gotcha, and then feed. And again, gotcha, and then feed. So all I'm doing is I'm grabbing and just not shaking or anything scary. It shouldn't be like a startle. This is so if you do have to go and reach for your babe and you do have to, get them from something, it's not something that they're unaware of how to do. So again, we might send her away with another little find it. Ready? Sophie, come. So beautiful little recall. I'm going to feed for that. Good job. And then we might try again. Ready? Gotcha. Beautiful. She's like, oh, that's stuck in my hand. There we go. And again, gotcha. Yes. She's like, you're weird. Good job, cutie. So, but again, the benefit of some of these gotcha exercises is that when you go to reach or go low, a lot of puppies sometimes think you're about to play and they might take off again. So it's especially beneficial because if she were to ever get off gear or she doesn't quite have a recall yet, and you're building in that you going to grab for her is not a bad thing, this could be a great game to play even in the house. And you could even build this into like I got you, or even a jumping into your lap and you collect her up. For little dogs too, remember that a lot of times their ability to say like no thank you, we tend to sometimes override it because they are so little, we can just manipulate them physically. You do want to make sure that you're including some autonomy for your babe and where there's some consent. I'm not saying this is what you guys are doing, so don't worry. But we sometimes forget that with littles, unlike like a big dog, you can't just decide to like move a Great Dane by picking them up, but you can decide to move a little. So when we are working with her, make sure that being picked up is not too scary. There are some great exercises. So like you might have a cue for getting picked up, like it could be up, or it could be like, again, whatever slogan makes sense for you guys. And you start to practice going and reaching, and then you feed for that. Going and reaching and putting your hand under the belly and feed for that. Again, sorry about my darn tickle. And your babe could then start to learn that me reaching and going and picking her up could be the bringer of the good, not always just it happened and I had no say in it. So allowing your puppy to have the ability to say yes or no, so almost like, yes, I'd like to participate, or no, thanks, is going to make it where your pup doesn't have to go from, let's say, whispering information to you to shouting. So it's definitely an important aspect, is to think about, have I shown my puppy that these skills are safe and that they do bring them some reinforcement from their perspective they find valuable. Nice. What a good job. Ready with me? But her loose leash walking is getting so pretty. So, and I know right now we don't have gear on. You could definitely practice, again, sometimes gear on, sometimes gear off. If, again, equipment, ready, we'll do another little find it, ready, cuteness, find it. If equipment tends to always equal a lot of excitement, I would definitely start practicing taking gear out, hold it, feed for some softness, do some find its, put the gear back down, and then pick it up again, and do several reps where the gear doesn't always equal we're going outside or we're going for that walk. Or we're going in the car, whatever it might be. If you find you have certain slogans that jazz up your puppy, like let's say you say, let's go for a car ride, and then your dog goes bananas, and you don't love that response, try not to preemptively add more fuel to the fire. So if you know your dog loses their marbles when you grab their gear, maybe that would be something that you might want to practice throughout your day, picking up gear and then creating either a different association where it doesn't always equal lose your marbles, or, for example, feed for, let's say, another skill, like you might pick up gear, do some find its, pick up the gear, do some eye contact. But if the gear is we lose our marbles and we get clipped on, then maybe going bananas is what gave you the gear on and off to the next step. Oh, this is so pretty, Miss S. What a good job, ma'am. So, so nice. So maybe we'll try another little send away with another little find it. And then we'll do another little recall. Sophie, come. Nice job. That was so pretty. Again, sorry about my darn throat. I'm doing better than I thought I would, though. My voice is mostly back. The tickle of doom, not so nice. Kind of the worst part of it is the tickle. Ready? She's like, I would like some of that. She's like, I could have sworn there was a cool thing. Ready? Find it. Ready? Sophie, come. Yes. So for Miss S, though, the loose leash walking, the coming when called, the gotcha game would be some really great things to kind of keep reiterating and working on. Her engagement is really, really pretty today. I know sometimes throughout the week, they get a little bit more fatigued depending on when it's their turn. Sometimes she did more WrestleMania with Mr. Winston than other days. So it kind of just all varies on her energy level for the session. So because there are a lot of variables that go into how your babe is feeling for the day, you may again want to have a nice flexible plan or game plan for when it comes to what skills you were hoping to work on. I know for me, I sometimes like to create flashcards of skills, be it new, old, or sort of things we're still working on. And then that way I kind of mash up my deck of flashcards. And then as I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to work on something with my dogs. What do I want to do? I have no idea. It's hard for me to sometimes just pick something. So for me, because I'm sometimes indecisive or get a little overwhelmed thinking about all the things I could be working on, that then I just kind of like, oh, I couldn't bother doing any of them. So you may find, ready, Sophie, come, is maybe you've got a couple flashcards of skills you're working on and you pick 3. So you go through the deck and you just pick random. If you don't love one, of course, you can exchange it. But the nice thing about that is then you can be like, you know what, we're going to work on loose leash walking. Maybe she's going to work with some weights. Excuse me. And maybe she'll work a bit with eye contact. And then those are the skills you work on for a few moments to be successful. But I'm going to give Miss Lovely a little breather from this, get another drink of water, and maybe I have another cough drop somewhere hiding. Ready? Find it. And then we'll work a few more skills with Miss S. So I'm sorry about my tickle, but she's doing a really nice job.